but it's great just because you can see so far. Low beams. Pretty good cutoff line actually on the factory projectors. Here is low beam, high beam again. Here's some pretty severe flickering right now. But it's still pretty dim, mostly just because of the bulbs. What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing the full high beam and low beam LED conversion for E46 with the xenon projectors, as well as fixing these broken angel eyes. And here's our bulbs, so let's jump right into it. All these parts will be linked in the description. So we have Oxido, these are H7 for the high beam, and we have DZG, which are a direct plug and play for the D2S HID bulbs. Here's a little closer look. Here's our ballasts, and these are not gonna have any error codes as well. They have a resistor built in. And then the high beam is just a simple plug and play, 1-to-1 H7. So since the high beams do not include a ballast, and I did actually buy an H7 ballast, but it was not, kind of what I was looking for. So here are some 50-watt resistors that we're gonna have to wire in parallel with the high beam circuit to cancel out the error codes as well as the flickering. So we'll dive right into that. Tools necessary to remove the headlights, 8mm, and a flathead screwdriver to help with some of the clips. So first thing, remove your lower trim piece. These should just pop out, pretty simple. Then you're gonna have an 8mm here, one in the back, and one in the front. So, old 1999, I only have two holding it on. Little magnet tray always helps. Alrighty, so that should be the only thing holding them in. Once you have all your bolts out, the turn signal will come out as one piece, and they slide right out. So now we're gonna focus on the back and start working on these connectors. So you have your high beam, your low beam down here. This is for the HID right here. We have a little plug-in for the self-leveling headlights, and then just a few other here in our connectors, so we'll disconnect those. Alrighty, and that is all for this. The only thing I have left are my little plugs for the angel eyes, so we'll get those unplugged and headlight is free. Here's our little plugs for the angel eyes, last one. Good. Alright, with all those disconnected, headlight assembly is free. See our HID ballast right here, high beam is here, and we're going to access our HID bulb behind this little covering. Alright, passenger side headlight, passenger side out. Alright, so here's our two assemblies out. So we need to remove the turn signal to be able to get our lenses off. So quick little tabs, punch and push. There's one out. Same thing for the other side. Alright, so I'm basically just going to be repairing my old angel eyes as well as resecuring these. And then I'll show you the quick install of these bulbs. Basically the same as whether they were in the car, but it's a little bit easier when they're out. Alright, so first we got to remove our little trim piece. This is like a little water seal right here. And our lens has about 5 or 6 little clips, top and bottom. So it may take a little bit to pry it off, get them all, off evenly. So I'll time lapse for you guys. Okay, there's a little tab here that makes it a little easier. It gives you some leverage with your finger. You can reach on, pry all these out at the same time. It takes a little bit of coordination, actually. Okay. All right, here's the E46 headlight with the lens off. So we have this little trim piece that pops right off. Put that aside. Now we have access directly to our factory projector and our high beam H7 reflector. So these were originally installed with some hot glue, wires tucked pretty nicely, but as you can see, the other side has failed after about a year. So we're going to be resecuring this with some nice epoxy, some clear glue, so these aren't going anywhere. All right, moving on to the driver's side, here are the two halos. I went ahead and broke loose the hot glue, and I'm going to be using some of this E6000 clear adhesive. I use this on a lot of stuff. So I'm just gonna do a little dab on most of the areas that are gonna make contact with the lens. So little dab there, little dab there, little dab there, and there. And then just gonna smoothly set it flat right there and let it dry for about 15 or 20 minutes and repeat the process on the other side. All right, so we have the back of our passenger side headlight, and we're gonna be installing our low beam and high beam. So this being an HID, we're gonna have our ballast, and then behind our little cover, here's our little high voltage bulb. So anytime you're doing an HID conversion, an LED conversion, you never want to attach to this feed, right? So there's 12 volts going into the ballast, but you have multiple thousand volts coming through this. So if you attach anything to this, it's gonna absolutely destroy it, right? So these are just a simple twist out. This one appears to be pretty broken actually. But yeah, there's our little HID bulb. Pretty simple. I believe this is a 6,000 Kelvin bulb. Yeah. Here's a pretty cool little shot inside the projector. So there's our little cutoff line right there. Pretty cool. All right, so these LED bulbs, they have this little actual mounting bracket that lines up exactly with the D2S. So slides right in here, pops in, cover goes on just like factory. You gotta find which way the slots actually line up. So looks like there, twist it, locked in. Then we're gonna take our bulb, we're gonna face our our chips facing outwards like this. That's either upside down or right side up, whichever way you feel. Gonna line it up, pop it in, twist it into place, and then we're good. All right, so this little ballast, we're just gonna tuck it in here. Fits in there perfectly, and this one does not get too hot, so I'm not worried about anything happening. So I've made a small little hole in this dust cover. So we're gonna feed our wires through just like that, and go ahead and cover it back up. So you have a choice with this. I'm personally just gonna cut them off and tuck the wires back in just because I have no use for it. Ballast is just gonna be unplugged since this is gonna be fed directly to 12 volts. So yeah, whatever works. All right, so I am gonna cut these, but I'm gonna leave a little bit of slack in case I am gonna reconvert these to HID. So quick little cut, we'll tuck them in. No worry about touching any sort of power source since these are not gonna be powered whatsoever. Tuck our good old ballast in, our new ballast, and dust cover goes right back on just like factory. Nothing else to see. And then we're gonna move on to our high beam. Okay, so high beam's a little bit tricky. A lot of people think you have to kind of squeeze this to get it out. In reality, you're gonna twist and it comes right out. So there's our half burnt halogen bulb. So this one's gonna be much easier. Gonna take our new LED, pop it out, pop the new one in. It's easy to see where it goes. You got a little slot there. Same process, we're gonna twist it back into its original position. All right, reinstallation's a little difficult for some people, so we're gonna take this, twist this counterclockwise till it clicks, put this in at a slight angle, and you'll see there's little grooves right here that this little tab's gonna slide into. So we're gonna make sure this is twisted all the way counterclockwise. All right, so something I had to do inside of here for the other one to fit and able to get the right angle for this bulb. So, you know, regular halogen bulbs produce light 360 versus a LED. It's better to have it perfectly straight versus, you know, a little bit slid. So I did just break off these little tabs. All they do is just make sure that the bulb clips into the exact position. Same thing as well inside of here, there's some little tabs. So I'm just gonna take some pliers, break them off, no problem. Bulb's just gonna clip in same way. Make sure it's plugged in the right spot. We're gonna slide her on in. Once again, gonna take a little bit of struggle. Once it's in, you'll know. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about with kind of the angle. So you can actually see here and here where the points of reflection are. So this bulb's a little bit angled, so you can see it's not exactly straight, versus this bulb's a little more straight. If we step back a little bit, you can actually see a little more chip coverage going straight forward. So what I'm actually gonna do is fully remove these ballasts. They come out. We're also just gonna clip the wires to remove these. 2 flat heads right here, ballast comes right off. So, you know, less parts to deal with. All right, I polished the lenses all up. I went ahead and did a full ceramic coating, C-Quartz UK. So these are never going yellow again. Alrighty, we are back in the car looking at the factory wiring harness. So now we're going to utilize our 50-watt resistors so that our high beams do not flicker and do not throw any codes. So what people have to be very careful about this style is this style resistor gets very hot. It's using 50 watts of resistance, I believe at 4 ohms, and these can get up to 350, 400 degrees. So it's a very good idea to not put this near any plastic. So what I'm going to do, I drilled a small little hole right there, and I'm going to mount it to that metal. So this is out of the way of anything hot. And you know, these only get that hot whenever the high beams are running for, you know, let's say over 20 minutes. And you know, usually your high beams are using only at night for short periods of time or to flash people. So as long as I'm moving and don't have these on for a crazy amount of time, then there should be no issue. So I'm going to secure these and then we'll wire it in parallel with the high beam circuit. Alright, so got the wiring all apart. So this is going to lead to our high beam connector. We got a brown wire and a white wire with a blue stripe cut right here. We have our resistor mounted up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice these together in parallel. So that means one's going to go to positive, one's going to go to negative, and then we're going to hook it back up. So that's going to act as if a second power source is drawing power from the circuit, which is going to trick the CAN network. Alright, so we got the power side hooked up. I'm using some of these little like pre-made solders, which they make stuff like this real helpful. So got a little torch lighter. We're just going to burn one side at a time. Close up the gap. Just like that, so the solder can't escape. And then we'll burn the middle. As that gets hot, it'll melt together just like a regular solder would. Cool, just like that, we're all soldered together. All right, driver's side wiring's all done. I'll tape back up. There's the resistor, in line, and there's the connector. So we'll do the same for the passenger side and plug in the headlights and see how it is. All right, passenger side all wired up, as you can see. Parallel, there it is screwed in. So we'll pop the headlights back in, see what we got. Alrighty, so we got everything installed, and I'll show you we have no air lights. There we are. We're going to turn headlights on, see the low beams, high beams on, no air lights, no flickering, no nothing. We're all good. Alrighty, so here we are, fully completed. Fog lights, LED, very bright. Turn those off. Here's just our LED low beams now. I'll switch back and forth between the HID and the low beam. And then here's our high beam. As you can see, pretty damn bright, really far beam. Very precise. Yeah, so here's gonna be, again, fog lights, plus low beam, high beam. So much better light performance. Here's one of our before shots, and you can see just how much these factory HIDs were flickering. And this is with a replaced ballast, new bulbs, and everything, so big improvement. But it's great just because you can see so far. And these factory projectors still produce so much width, even in today's standards. Crazy. All right, so here we are against a garage door. Fog lights, nice cutoff line down below. Low beams. Pretty good cutoff line actually on the factory projector, and high beam. Zoom in a little bit, you can see that hot spot. Not bad.